Hello everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Corp Draw commentated videos. This is our Cat Meme Extreme Edition. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Josh.
And we're here with a store championship video. It's Mike Clement versus Mark the Wacky Zawacki. Mark is playing with Nyan Cat, and Mike is playing with Grumpy Cat sleeves. And Josh, why don't you tell us a little about these cat memes, being our resident memographer?
All right, so I'll start with Grumpy Cat. He's actually local to Arizona, if you didn't know that.
I did not know that,
I believe, in Scottsdale. And he's actually a pretty mild-tempered cat, pretty happy, which is kind of contradictory to his meme being the Grumpy Cat.
He looks pretty grumpy.
Yeah, his actually full name is Maximus Tardus. Some people call him Tard.
So he's Maximum Tard. Interesting.
And on the other side, we have Nyan Cat. Nyan Cat was actually from a YouTube video in about 2011, and it was about this cat who just said Nyan, 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 Nyan. And Nya is actually the Japanese version of meow. So there you go.
Wow. Lots to learn there. We're about to get the game rolling here now that you've all learned a little bit about cat memes. I hope you enjoyed
that. So we have Kits on the right side played by Mike, and we have Jinkteki Personal Evolution played by Mark on the left side.
I guess it's appropriate that he's playing Nyan Cat.
Very true. All right, so it looks like we have Piece of Ice. I think that was
Nisai.
Yeah, well, I think it was the Neural Katana. No, I think that was the ice wall.
Oh, yeah.
Ice
wall,
that's
the ice wall.
And then a Nisei Mark II and advanced a single time. So he's got the centrals wide open.
Yes, he does.
So turn one for Mike, he decides to play Sure Gamble into Magnum Opus. And I believe he takes twice. Yeah.
I probably would have ran.
Takes from Magnum Opus twice. Yeah, as long as it's a free run.
And he would have scored.
I don't know about running HQ every turn, if it's going to be free, but definitely R&D for the... Oh, man. Scores the Nisei Mark II.
That's a big card. It's really starting to play into Jinteki's plan of just keeping you out.
Yeah,
and you can't do anything about
what.
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nisei Mark II, probably the best card at just keeping you out no matter what that one time. We have other cards like Unorthodox Predictions, Caprice Nisei that can kind of do that, but nothing stops them better than Nisei Mark II.
Yeah, it's a fantastic card.
All right, so we see him, we see Mike running R&D. Now, while it's free, might as well run each time.
I would. I mean, especially early, I think you need to check things out.
And he runs HQ second click. Just see what we got here.
Those Nyan sleeves looking pretty shiny.
Very shiny. All right, and he sees an Ichi 1.0. Mike draws up a card. Looks like he's got a Cyber Solutions mem chip, a self-modifying code, a couple other cards. And he did lose that Scavenge to the Nisei Mark II, which is what we missed.
Yeah.
So Mark draws up. He draws a hedge fund. Now, at this point in the game, I think I would probably ice up R&D just because, we don't want to keep R&D free. We want to keep it, semi-taxing. And
Mike is playing Shapers, so there's probably going to be some R&D.
Yeah, some R&D interfaces, some Maker's Eyes. Instead, Mike opts just to gain $3. He does have the hedge fund in hand, so trying to work up towards that hedge fund. Mike, on the other side, first click, modded in a Cyber Solutions mem chip.
Yep.
Into self-modifying code. And draws twice. Now here, I probably would still have run R&D once, if not just for the information.
I think you need to put the pressure on when the pressure is given to you.
Mm-hmm. If it's free, might as well.
It's not going to be free forever.
Top card, we see Neural Katana. So if I were Mark here, I would probably just gain a buck, hedge fund, and maybe install a card face down, like the Melange or something like that. You really need some money here.
He is rather poor at the moment.
Let's see what he decides to do. Probably I would just put that Ichi over. Oh. Looks like the Neural Katana went... to
another remote.
Oh, that's right. He had pitched the Ichi 1.0 when he gained 3.
Yeah.
So the Ichi 1.0 is out of the question. So Neural Katana goes into the second remote. second. Even here, second and third click I would do gain 1 and hedge fund.
Yeah.
But he opts to install the Ronin and advance it once, putting him down to $3. Yeah, as Mike is pointing out right here. I don't know about the Ronin at 1 advance. Is he trying to? He might be trying to bluff it as a Nisei, but I don't know. Okay, that card at the top we see is a private contracts.
Yep.
Good on Mike for running each turn at least once, just to see the cards while they're free.
Absolutely. Also, it puts pressure on both servers, and if you can put pressure on HQ and R&D, I think it becomes a lot harder for the
Yeah, exactly.
Corp.
If the Corp is keeping any agendas in hand, they might want to ice it up and spend some of their money. Right now, Mark is only at $3, so it's kind of tough for him to do anything that he's trying to do. So here we see Mike getting some money, getting some cards, making some free runs. All right, so we see that he draws a torch.
That's a big card in that deck. Torch is really fantastic in a kit deck. It was clearly, I mean, obviously it's the most efficient code gate breaker, but it's also probably one of the most efficient breakers of any type.
Yeah, strength 4, bumps for 1, and breaks for 1.
Yeah, that's really, really powerful. You can run it anywhere, and it's only 1 memory still. So I think
as opposed to Garrote being 2.
Mm-hmm. And Shaper has a lot of ways to make that cheaper. You can install it with a test run and scavenge. You can install it for 3, or mod it out and install it for 6. Either way, lots of ways to get it out cheaper than the 9 running in Shaper. So I think it's a really fantastic.
It's kind of a shame seeing the torch in hand, though. That's rarely where where Shaper wants to see their key programs. They either want to have them in the heap so they can install them via scavenge or test run, or they want them in the deck so they can find them with self-modifying code. So here we see Mike run our HQ the first time, seeing a melange, second time, seeing a shock. And now here, Mike chooses to trash.
Yep, nabs a scavenger. I think wisely, too, so that, obviously, Kit's probably not going to have a huge focus on the trash, so he's probably not going to be running there very often, so it's probably a better place for it.
And if she does run there, it's probably not going to be for accessing cards. It's going to be for, retrieval run or for a sneaker beta.
Yep.
So I think having shocks is definitely safe in archives.
Yeah.
So we see a chum here drawn from Mark. Now, chum is not going to do anything except on the remotes. So I think we're just going to see him money up here. Either that or draw one more card or 2. Just to see what his options are. That Ronin there sitting at 1 advancement is not doing much. You can't really do anything with Ronin in a single turn sitting on 1 advancement. So I think maybe advancing that once might be a good move. Just so you can, advance, and then pop it in your final click.
Yeah.
For 3 damage.
I think that's a good play early too, because if you can advance the Ronin enough to hit it early in the game where the runner is still setting up and drawing a lot of cards, you can probably grab a few that he probably
a couple
wants.
Of key cards. Yeah.
I think a lot of people maybe incorrectly use that to try to kill someone off
for the kill. Yeah.
You can just use it to slow down the runner. And taxing clicks is really what Jinkteki is about.
Mm-hmm.
Just slow people down.
So first 2 clicks here, we see a run on R&D and a run on HQ. Pretty solid because they're free runs. We see a chum here. Now there was a 1 in 3 chance of hitting the Nisei Mark II, and we missed it. At this point for Mike, I think the plan is... I think he's doing a pretty good job. As long as you run HQ at least once per turn and run R&D every turn, I think there's not much he can do. He's pretty confident that the face-down card on the remote is not an agenda because it hasn't been scored yet.
Yeah.
So there's not much else he could do in this besides maybe gain money, draw cards, and make those free runs on the centrals.
And he has a torch in his hand. He could probably get that out pretty soon.
He could, yeah. It looks like he has maybe between $6 and $8 on his identity card there. Now, playing torch is kind of a loss of tempo, but it really gains you a lot of time over the course of the game because as long as Mark is only on 1 ice deep, you can get in whatever it is. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
absolutely.
So Mark here installs a card face down on the remote.
And
Advances
in
it
one.
a single time.
I believe that was the other knee side.
Yeah, there's one more click after that. And I think here they're just
discussing.
talking about how many clicks he's used.
Yep.
So all he's done is install it advanced. Final click, probably just draw or gain a buck, yeah. So that right there, he draws the feudal AI. So first click, we're going to see a run on R&D, and
Yep.
it's a snare. Now running on R&D first click is pretty safe, because even if you run into the snare, you can pay to remove the tag.
Mike has some
You
good
can
cards in there. Let's
draw
see what he gets.
We see Tinkering,
A Maker's Eye.
yeah, Maker's Eye, and something else.
Yeah, some unknown card. Mike's going to go ahead and use the self-modifying code.
He's going to find probably either, I don't think he's going to get a torch, but probably
Cyber Cipher.
Cyber Cipher.
There you go.
Now the big choice is, where does it go?
Cyber Cipher, in my kit deck, I run one of, and I run 2 torches, and it's a really great card early game. If you feel that you can't really take the tempo hit, it's a great way to get out and running somewhere quickly. And if you have to use the scavenges to move them around, you can until you're able to get the torch out without taking a huge hit in tempo.
Well, I don't know if I would have put the Cyber Cipher on that remote. That card has sat face down forever. So you can pretty much guarantee that it's not an agenda.
I probably would have seen the newer card.
Right, yeah. If that new card is a Project Junebug, it only has 1 advancement token on it, right? So you only lose 2 cards. So that's whatever. But, how bad could that other card be? I mean, it could be a feudal. I don't know. With a single advancement, it's really not that scary, I think.
I think also with the amount of money that he had, I would have self-modifying code for a corroder or something, and then just played the torch, I think.
Yeah, well, I think the thing about self-modifying code is you can use its ability on the fly. So if
but he did have the memory though. He did have the cyber slash. Yeah, I probably would have just installed the torch. I think that's a smarter play.
Just install the torch, either that or run without.
Because if you have the money to do it, and in this game, it's obviously not going to be a huge tempo hit using that money. Most of the ice,
because you're not going to have to break much.
You're going to have, like the most expensive ice.
If you
spend like 5 credits, maybe.
If you suspect that it's a neural katana, it only costs you $1 for a torch. So spending that 9 on the torch, sure, it's a hard hit to your economy, but you're only going to get in for $1 or $2 each time after that.
Yep.
Now here we see him run on the remote. Is protected by an ice wall, but is easily broken due to Kit's ability, making the ice wall a code gate.
And Cyber Cipher
breaking it.
Being strength 4.
Yep.
Breaking for 1.
For $1, even though he advanced the ice wall once. So, and he chooses to trash the Ronin. Now we're on to Mark's turn here. He's probably just going to score out that Nisei that was in his hand. Oh, look. I think he was poor, actually. He didn't have any money left.
That ice wall is pretty expensive. Oh.
So Mike is digging for some cards.
Thought about playing another diesel and then decided against it.
Just didn't want to trash anything in his hand. I don't know. You're going to have to trash some cards anyway.
I would have just found whatever it is you're
I guess
looking for.
keeping it in hand. I guess it depends on what's in hand. It looks like he has Fem, Corroder, Torch, his full breaker suite. I see the blueness of Brandon's shoe in the background.
It's sneaking in.
So Mark here, I think he's just gaining some money. Yeah, he's quite poor right now. Looks like he's at 4, if I'm right. So he installs a card face down into that remote.
Oh,
and takes 2.
There's almost half a shoe there. Very obvious.
So first click, he chooses to run R&D. Second click, he's probably going to run that remote.
Thought about playing that sure gamble.
I think with the Magnum Opus out, You really don't need to play the share gamble, especially against Jinkteki.
I think he's got a corroder in hand, too.
He does. Do you play the corroder? It costs exactly the same.
I think you play the corroder when you get the
torch, yeah, obviously.
Otherwise, it's just going to slow you down.
He does decide to play the share gamble. And final click draws a card. So he does have the access to that remote if he wants it. I don't think he's going to be exactly convinced that it's an agenda because it isn't advanced yet. But Mark decides to, this time around, score the Nisei Mark II.
Yep.
One card, pick a card, being Diesel.
Diesel, that's a big card, I think, in that deck.
I think so.
I think you really need that card draw. That card's such a huge play for consistency.
First click, he's running the remote that the Cyber Cipher's on. Now we know from earlier that this card is... Actually, looks like Mark needs to discard. He's got 6 cards in hand. But we know from earlier that the card that he installed is Fetal AI.
Yep.
So he sees it. He's definitely going to pay the 2 and loses 3 cards.
These could be big cards.
He's got 5 in hand, but
Corroder?
So we see Corroder.
Self-modifying code. And a FEM. Those are big cards to lose.
They're pretty big. He's still going to has some test runs.
I mean, obviously, against Jinkteki is probably not as big, but if you're playing a more, a more vertical corporation, I think those are really important cards to have.
Right.
Because you need something to be breaking.
First click. Looked like it was a Trick of Light, maybe?
Yeah, it could have been.
No, I'm sorry. That was a Toll Booth. Not even close. It's really hard to identify those cards when they're upside down in R&D.
Just hang upside down like a bat, Josh.
So we're seeing a piece of ice being installed.
Ice on a central server.
On the central.
It's a bold move.
We know from earlier, we didn't mention what it was, but it's actually a pop-up window. So Mark is just trying to dig himself out of some of the economic hole that he's dug himself into with the early advancing.
He's up on points, though, so...
Yeah, he's up 4-2. And he's just gaining some money.
We also know that this game is pretty far into the time limit. The first game that they played was a pretty long one.
Quite long, yeah. I think it was about maybe 40 minutes for the entire game.
Yeah.
So they only have about 20 minutes to get through this game.
Sees another shock.
We're on HQ because it's free. Well, relatively free.
Test run.
Costs them a card. That's quite the card to lose.
Test run's a huge card in Kit's deck.
Well, especially having already lost the Femme Fatale and the Corroder.
And the Scavenges.
For
that matter. Because the test run and Scavenge, I mean, not only are they ways to get things out cheaply and quickly, they also are recursion in a deck that doesn't, I mean, that's really what you're relying on.
Mm-hmm.
And you have things in this deck that are going to be easily power shut down, right? Like, I mean, your Corroder is going to get shut down.
Yeah, it can be shut down. Yeah, that's true. I think in that case, I might even run Akamatsu instead of the Cyber Solutions. While, of course, he is running a kind of a memory-intensive build with Magnum Opus and everything.
Cold installing the torch with just modded. Paying 6. It's 3 more than you would like to pay, but it is better than 9.
Mm-hmm.
I've been known to play with that, with the 6 cost.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
No,
There's a
lot
of good things you can mod it out in that deck too. You've got the Cyber Solutions, you've got the Magnum Opus. A lot of good targets for that.
You know, I used to hold modded in my hand a lot more than I really should have, and like waiting for something to come instead of just using it.
It just saves you money immediately.
I think once I started playing that, I liked it a lot more. If you have modded in anything that can be installed with it, I think you just do it.
Mm-hmm. The only time I wouldn't is with Kate and something that costs 3.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So here we see Mark install a piece of ice into the second remote, as well as an agenda face down. Now that face down card really could be anything. And it's really hard to run against because right now he only has the torch and can only break through a single piece or a single layer of ice. I think
I think it's time to start seeing some cards.
Yeah, I think we need to run HQ, run R&D.
You have a torch. It's time to go.
Yep.
No more drawing.
All right.
See, that turn too. Like, he has his torch out, but he's not running.
Right.
That's antithetical to what Kit does. I think once you get a code gate out, a code gate breaker, especially one big like torch, you need to be using it every single turn.
Exactly. So here, that face down card that Mark had was a Brain Trust, putting him at 6 points. He has the match point.
He does.
So we're getting really close on time.
Nip's a sharpshooter.
So I think we need to see some speed here from Mike.
I believe the TO is standing right over the table telling them that time's probably been called, so this is probably they probably each got another turn. So Mike's gonna have to do some digging.
Installs an HQ interface with his first click. Second click, he's gonna run HQ, see what he can find. I'm gonna see Wall of Thorns, Toll Booth. Yuck.
Not the cards he's looking for.
He's got 2 more actions. He needs to
Run
hit
R&D.
big. He needs to hit big here. Now he's kind of hesitant to run R&D just because we've only seen one snare.
But you have a torch, like what could it be?
Yeah. So pays 1 to get through the pop-up window. And Mark
I really think once you get that torch out, like you can run.
And we see Pad Campaign as the top card. Doesn't have enough to trash. He needs to access more cards in R&D, but I don't think he's got anything.
I think Mike knows that's pretty much.
And that's
game.
it.
And Mark knows too. He can't score anything. So that's game, folks.
Yep.
So that one ends on a tie.
Mark wins it 3 points. Mike getting 1 point.
Yep.
All right. So that's the game. I think the story of this game just run. Just run.
Unfortunately, the hometown Grumpy Cat cannot bring it home
to the Nyan Cats.
I think in both of these, I think the lesson is that you need to put pressure on your opponents whenever you can, and if you don't, it puts you in a very bad position.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Mike was actually pretty good that game, running as often as he could. But there were some turns where he
took
skipped,
turns off.
He skipped some runs on HQ. He skipped some runs on R&D.
And really, with a torch, I don't think you have a lot of fear on that first piece of ice.
Exactly.
I mean, with 6 credits, which is easily gotten with a magnum opus, you can break through the bad parts of an archer.
Right.
So I think you'd do it.
Yeah.
You can. So everyone, thank you again for watching another commentated video. You can check out the first game of this also on our YouTube channel right now. And I think Josh and I are going to sign off.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Really?